Stephen Nelson woke up one morning to the sound of rushing water. What he thought was a sink leaking was really his hot water heater, which had exploded, causing water to ruin almost everything in the room and forcing him to pay $2,000 out of pocket. This is why you should prepare for your financial future today. After we talk about why you should prepare for your future, how to do so, and what it might look like if you don't, I hope that you'll plan today. First, let's talk about why you should prepare for your future. Bankrate.com found that 61% of Americans don't have a $1,000 emergency fund. It's inevitable. You will have an emergency, whether it's the loss of a job or a car accident, and having money set aside for such an occasion can reduce the stress that comes with it. The American Heart Association states that increased stress can lead to headaches, depression, or even a stroke. Having a barrier between you and life's problems can literally mean life or death. The Pew Charitable Trusts found that 80% of Americans have debt. The borrower becomes slave to the lender, a quote made famous by Dave Ramsey. This means that when you take out a loan or get a credit card, you give the bank or wherever you got it control over your money. Why should someone else have control over the money that you work hard for day after day? The Census Bureau found that 7.2 million people over the age of 65 are living in poverty. Having a plan in action now for your retirement can mean that you don't have to live frugally in your old age. This also means that there are millions of grandparents, maybe even your own, that are unable to afford their bills or basic needs. Now that we know why you should prepare for your future, let's talk about how you can do that. Dave Ramsey has an amazing plan for starting an emergency fund. First, you make a budget and you live by it. When making a budget, you have $0 left over, meaning that you have planned out where every penny that you make goes. This includes saving. Which, however, you should do as the last step so that you know how much you are able to save. Set a monthly savings goal. This can be $1,000 or 3 to 6 months of expenses. But don't get caught up on the big numbers and think that it's impossible. Instead, set a small monthly savings goal like $20, because even that can pile up when you don't have to worry. Lastly, adjust how much you save. This can be by tightening your budget, or if you get a raise. Every time you have more money, put more money into your savings so that you can get to your end goal quicker. Next, let's talk about how to tackle your debt. Dave Ramsey also has a plan for this, which he calls the debt snowball. The first step is to list all your debts, from smallest to largest. And then you pay the minimum on all your debts except for the smallest, throwing all the money that you can at that smallest debt until it's paid for. And then you take all the money that you were paying on that smallest debt and apply it to the next smallest. You repeat this process over and over, freeing up more money as you go from smaller to larger, like a snowball rolling down a hill. Here's a great example of that. Now that you have an emergency fund and all of your debt taken care of, you can worry about your retirement plan. Luckily, Dave Ramsey also has a plan for this. First, set a goal for your retirement. Whether that's travel the world or spend tons of time with your grandkids, having a goal can keep you motivated, and it also allows you to know how much it's going to cost and how close you are to achieving that. Next, save 15% of your income. This is not saving it in a savings account, but rather putting it in a 401k or a Roth IRA, which you can get from either your place of work or through a broker. And you continue to invest this your entire life. while also working on your other savings goals. Next, you invest for the long term, which just means to be patient. Instead of pulling out all of your money from your retirement when an emergency comes or the stock market crashes, leave it in there. And because saving for your retirement is a marathon, not a sprint. So keep at it and keep calm. Lastly, work with a financial advisor. Investing for your retirement is not a solo act. You need someone who can help you make a plan for your life and goals. When Dave Ramsey completed the largest survey of millionaires ever done, he found that 68% of millionaires got there using a financial planner. Now that we know what the problem is and how to fix it, let's imagine what could happen if you weren't to follow this. First, imagine you didn't have an emergency fund, and you were put in a similar situation to Stephen Nelson, and you had to pay $2,000 out of pocket, but you didn't have that money, so you weren't able to fix it. And the damages caused you to have to move out of your house. Imagine the sadness in your family when you have to tell them that you no longer have a place to call home. Next, imagine you never tackled all of your debt. And upon death, you either have to sell all of your possessions or defer all the debt to your kids. If you have to sell all of your possessions, you no longer have heirlooms to pass on or physical memories to hold for people to remember you. On the other hand, if you defer it to your kids, what if they're not able to pay it? Then they're put in a similar situation as you. Lastly, let's look at what might happen if you don't prepare for your retirement. Imagine that all of your family moves states away, and you haven't seen your grandkids in 5 years. Imagine the feeling of wanting to go see them, but you can't, because you know that if you take that trip, you won't be able to afford bills or maybe even groceries for a couple of weeks. Now that you know there's a major problem with your financial future, whether it's the numerous amounts of emergencies, a lifetime of debt, or even having to live frugally in your retirement. Any of those situations can take away your freedom to live happily. So I urge you, please go, start right now, and prepare for your future today.